Hey, what's up, everybody? Mike with the Fox Valley Whiskey Society here, and today I wanted to do not a live recording, but a pre-recorded recording of a second sampling of one of our latest barrel pick releases that will be available probably sometime February, March. This is from Tattersall Distilling out of Minnesota, and this was one that a group of us picked a few weeks back. And there was, I think, 10 of us in total involved on this barrel pick. If you guys didn't watch the live stream of it, I'll post a link below, but it was like 2.5 hours. There was 4 samples, 3 of which are behind me. The fourth one that actually won is right here. And it was about 2.5 hours of just kind of discussing, sipping, nosing, analyzing, talking back and forth, which one we liked the most, which one we liked the least. The problem and the reason why it took so long was we had 10 people, 4 of whom went ahead and did the sampling beforehand but couldn't do the live sampling. 6 of us were live on YouTube, live on Facebook, doing the sampling, and we were all going back and forth. We all agreed kind of on one particular bottle, and that was this one right here. But again, the reason why it took so long was because all of those samples back there, the other 3, were so incredibly good, so big, so bold, so flavorful, that it was really hard to, quite honestly, pick just one. What we did was we actually picked a half barrel. So these were all aged in 53-gallon barrels for a little over 3 years, actually just shy of 4 years. But what we did is rather than take all 200 plus bottles from this barrel, we decided to just do the half barrel. So just take 100 bottles. And the reason why we made that decision was because, as most of you know, our primary Facebook group was shut down on October 22nd. We had a little shy of 2,600 followers and 2,600 members in that group. And unfortunately, Facebook's new algorithm shut it down because it thought that we were trying to sell directly on that Facebook group, that we were trying to sell alcohol directly on that Facebook group, which of course we were not, and because we can't do that. So through our secondary group, which is what you guys are watching this on now, which has just a little over 600 people, it's really, really, really difficult to try to sell 200 bottles to 600 people. It may not seem that difficult to you guys out there watching, but you have to realize that 95% of those 600 people aren't going to buy a barrel pick. They're just casual drinkers. They want to know what's up, what's going on around town, what good new bourbon or whiskey, scotch, whatever you're drinking, what's new and what's exciting. They're not really into or interested in buying barrel picks. Whereas when we have 2,600 people, these things fly off the shelf. So it's a little bit rough, so that's why we decided to do only 100 bottles of this. As of right now, today is December 30th of 2021. It is 4:42 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. There are about 70 bottles of this left. Now, this obviously isn't going to be the label. This is just a sample bottle. Comes in at around 130 proof. We don't know the exact proof yet. We'll know that at bottling. This was bottled on July 12th of, I'm sorry, not bottled, barreled on July 12th of 2018, which makes this little over 3 years, about 3.5 years. And I wanted to go through and do a second sampling of this, review my notes, see if there's anything that was added, anything that I can take away that I taste now that I didn't taste then, or vice versa. So here we go. And if anybody is curious and doesn't want to watch the rest of this video and just wants to read the comments below, this one comes out to a retail price of $60, including tax. Will be available at Malloy's in Glen Ellen sometime between February and March of 2022. Really, really big, rich caramel chew note. Like, those candies that you get that you would see on like your grandparents' coffee table in the little candy dish. There's a note of like the butterscotch hard candies, but that dried berry, dried orchard fruit really, really comes through on here. There's this really beautiful, like sweet tobacco. What am I getting in there that I didn't get last time? Slight spearmint, big brown sugar. Um, one of the people in the sampling group said sesame oil. And I thought that was a really interesting note. I don't particularly get that on the nose right now, but what I do get is like brown sugared flambéed apples almost. Like if you were to put sliced green apple in like brown sugar on the stovetop and add a little bit of rum or some cognac or some whiskey to it and let it flambe, let it flambe, you get those deep, rich, sugary notes. That's what the nose reminds me of. Absolutely, absolutely fantastic nose. I wish I had a candle that smelled like this. So initially, when I when I sampled this before, and this is just the first sip, so this is going to change the more I sip this. But the palate to me is like was initially when I tasted it was very roasty, chocolate covered espresso bean, toasted sugar, brown sugar. I get a lot of honey, a lot of um, brown sugar coated apples, almost like maybe like a caramel apple that you'd get on Halloween. The 130 proof ish, somewhere around there. Now, keep in mind that's about 65% alcohol. I don't want to say it drinks super, super hot. You do notice it on the very, very beginning, that first sip, but it fades. That alcohol burn fades very quickly, and that's where all those flavors come in. Like right now, it's that chocolate covered coffee bean or espresso, that toasted sugar, those big roasty, toasty notes, lots and lots and lots of fruit in there. I mean, we're talking dried berries, apples, pears, but everything has like a coating of brown sugar or caramel. Little bit of cherry cola. There's a slight herbal note in there. That spearmint or mint comes back a little bit. What's great about this is that the finish is very chewy, it's very long, it's very oily, it coats the palate. Those notes of dark chocolate, bitter cocoa powder, like before you put cocoa powder in like a hot chocolate, that bitter cocoa, those brown butter notes, the drawn butter. This is very unctuous but fruity at the same time. It's a very, very interesting finish. A lot of times I'll say this, this would go good in an old fashioned or a Manhattan or a Boulevardier or whatever. I would almost say, I mean, this would probably make a great old fashioned. The way I look at cocktails is probably the opposite of what everybody else views them. Where if you have a bad whiskey, you mix it in a cocktail, and then it'll just drown out. Cocktails, like food, are the better the ingredients, the better the outcome. So if you have a really great whiskey, why not make a cocktail with it? If it's a great whiskey on its own, chances are it's going to make a great cocktail. So this is something, I mean, it would make an absolutely fantastic old fashioned, but I think in any other, oh wow, just got like a massive whiff of like a creme brulee crust, or that like crust, that nice crispy coating on a on top of like an apple pie. A little bit of apple pie filling in there. Um, but with this, I don't think I would necessarily make a lot of cocktails with it. This is definitely like a special occasion. It's a sipping bourbon. It is a little bit higher proof, so you have to keep that in mind. This really kind of reminds me of like if Elijah Craig Barrel Proof were to come out as a rye, this is what I would imagine it to taste like. A little bit of cinnamon. There's butterscotch. The maple notes come through just a little bit, but the biggest, boldest notes that I get on there are stewed fruits, like the fruit that you would put in a pie, mostly apple, pear, dusted with cinnamon, dusted with brown sugar, flambéed, just really, really beautifully coating the palate. Lots of honey. It's very warm finish. I mean, you definitely get that nice Kentucky hug on there, even though this is from Minnesota. Probably why they make this rye the way they do is because in Minnesota it's cold pretty much 8 months out of the year, which is, I'm guessing, probably why they have this rye. They've kind of almost designed this 100% rye mash bill around those big, bold notes to kind of keep you warm in the winter. Absolutely makes sense, and really kind of makes sense for what we're what, what you guys in Illinois are about to go through, and that's a lot of snow and a lot of cold. So again, oh, oh my god, there's so many roasted pecans, pralines, candied almond. So much going on in the nose for a $60 bottle, 130-ish proof, somewhere around there. Um, to be available still in the winter when you guys are really going to want to drink this. Um, only 70 bottles left of this. It's got like maple syrup covered like raisins. Pancakes, waffles, like syrup soaked pancakes and waffles. If for anything else, if you don't get it for how unbelievably good it tastes, get it just to nose this whiskey. Oh my god, it's so good. If you're used to a rye that has those dill, pickly kind of notes, spearmint, mint, menthol. If you're used to like that typical rye, this is not that rye. This may not be the rye for you. If you want those really big, unctuous, bold flavors, those big fruity flavors, roasted nuts and caramel dipped apples, brown sugar coated orchard fruits, this is going to be right up your wheelhouse. If you've never had Tattersall rye before, it's one that definitely you should seek out. I know that Binny's had it for a long time. I don't know if there's still any left on the shelf, but if you do happen to find it at Binny's, it's an absolutely fantastic bottle to pick up. I have a little one. I have one right here. Tattersall, the name is just kind of the pattern of that plaid pattern that you would see almost on like um, a what's the word I'm looking for? Flannel, like a flannel shirt. Um, so that's the pattern. That's the Tattersall pattern. It's a green label. It's really, really beautiful. So this isn't the label that's actually going to come on that bottle, guys. This is just a test label for the sample. So again, this is going to be available sometime February, March of 2022, or so we're hoping. With the glass shortages and everything kind of being short and going up in price, that could change, but that's what we're hoping for. Oh, pardon me. Again, there's only about 70 bottles of this left available. It's $60, including tax. I will comment below this video with. Actually, if you just comment below, I will send you guys information on how you can go ahead and reserve your bottles. Everybody, thanks for watching. I'm going to probably finish off the sample bottle and just keep sitting here making notes on it. Cheers, everybody. Happy New Year.